So obviously the Venezuelan coup d'etat has failed. We were calling it here on this YouTube channel when it was happening. And now we are getting stunning admissions by the quote, U.S. president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido, which of course we're going to be talking about in this video. And they are stunning admissions with, of course, more unknown, unforeseen circumstances leading to the very already disastrous situation in Venezuela. And after this failed coup d'etat, which that's what it should be called, I don't know why that's even being discussed, this is leading, of course, to more disastrous relations between the United States and Russia, which, of course, are at odds with each other. But before we get into the bigger geopolitical picture, Jason, what did Guaido say, and how is this man? What is this going to be the future of this man? Because he literally stood with guys with machine guns and said, "Hey, we're taking the government over," and that clearly didn't work.
Yeah, none of this really surprised me. He admitted that he overestimated the military support that he had. He didn't use the term coup. That again is this is out of Sputnik. So this is the Russian side of the propaganda, folks. I want to let you know both sides are going to spin it a little bit, but I don't think they're spinning it when they use the term coup, because that's exactly what it was. And I never expected this to actually happen. In fact, when we discussed it, Luke, I said, you know what, for him to even do this, he's got to have some serious US-backed support. There's no way that they're letting him just come out here and make an Instagram video with guys with machine guns and call for a coup without this guy being heavily protected. And we just talked about how, listen, there are people that have spent time in there. This guy does not have popular support in that country. That is an illusion propagated by him and the U.S. military-industrial complex.
Yeah, there is support for protest against Maduro. That does exist. Guaido, again, if you look at the election results that he, allegedly won, the opposition to Maduro were protesting the elections. But even with that, the numbers were dismal. And of course, as other people have reported on the ground, this Guaido guy doesn't have that much support. There was, according to some reporters on the ground there, 12 military guys with him. Of course, they had a huge crate of ammo. They had an automatic machine gun. There was fire even exchanged between the two. And now it's kind of like an awkward situation where it's like, I'm still in Venezuela. Hey, guys, I tried to overthrow you with 12 military guys, and it's an awkward situation, to say the least. And this guy's still, walking around in that country, which is going to create another kind of confrontation in other ways. But specifically, there was other reports of also troops saying that they were told to be there, that when they didn't want to be there. But the final number we got was 12. And again, Jason, I was like, hey, man, I'm telling you, this is not working. It's over. You were like, well, let's just see. Yeah, man.
Well, no, I wasn't saying it was going to work, man. I said that there's no way he's going to be able. There's no way he was calling for this without full military support. It's not over. Just so you know, it's far from over.
Why that day specifically failed? You were like,
well, I didn't say it was going to go down that day, dude. I was not like, oh, this is it. It's all over. No, look, they're saying, for instance, let's look at the propaganda. So we have Bolton out there saying that Maduro was ready to leave on a jet to Cuba. Total bull.
Where did that information come from?
From Bolton. Again, that's from the Secretary of State Pompeo and the National Security Advisor Bolton. That's pure propaganda. Okay? I've seen no other source for that. And then they're saying that the Russians convinced him to do otherwise. No one's saying that Russia is not there. And in fact, after this large conversation that it was a private conversation, God forbid Trump had this, but we know even less about what the roles are going to be through that conversation. But today they're saying, hey, back up. Russia's saying back up. Do not attempt to overthrow this government by force.
Yeah. Russia and China are involved in Venezuela. They have been for a very long time. China has a huge loan given out to Venezuela that Venezuela is paying back with oil, which China desperately needs. There are large military, economic, and social connections between Russia and Venezuela. Russia sent air defense systems. Russia sent over 100 troops to Venezuela, and their partnership does exist. But again, like Tulsi Gabbard warns, what we're seeing here is ultimately a proxy conflict in a new Cold War, and it's getting hotter. And this has unforeseen circumstances since, of course, this could quickly escalate into war. And we have two major world powers on opposing sides of this war, which, of course, many people, even Tulsi Gabbard officially is even warning, this could be escalate to war, to nuclear war, the greatest danger we face today. And they're right, because if Bolton and Pompeo had their way, they're extremely aggressive here. They're extremely, I mean, they're releasing statements saying Latin America, the whole continent, that's ours. That's ours. It's Americans to do whatever we want. I mean, I'm ad-libbing here. I'm generalizing here, but essentially those are the bigger epithets, the bigger attitudes exchanged here by Bolton and Pompeo that clearly want this coup d'etat to work. And of course, it's not. Jason.
Well, again, we're far from over. I don't think the military is going to give up. Unfortunately, I think there is the possibility of a covert military presence and then maybe, you know, an overt one. Let's look at this right now. The U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, many are saying are currently worse than the Iraq sanctions before the war there. And we got to understand, sanctions are really an extension of war. When you cut off the ability for them to get their resources out to people and bring in an economy, bring in food, that's warlike behavior. And you have Forbes saying, no, U.S. sanctions are not killing Venezuela. Maduro is. No one's calling Maduro a choir boy. No one here is saying he's a great guy. Both things can be true. Maduro can be bad and abusive to his own people. And then U.S. sanctions can also come in and cause more despair. They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Well, Jason, Maduro is bad, and he is horrible to his people. And the mismanagement of government and corruption in Venezuela has led to a significant portion of the poverty and the hyperinflation that is happening there. So has U.S. sanctions and U.S. efforts to overthrow Maduro and overthrow Chavez before that, because it was against U.S. specific interests and more favorable towards Russian and Chinese interests. This is what this is all about. This is all about power, economics, resources, and people need to understand. This is what I've been saying for a while. What the Trump administration, what Bolton and Pompeo are not realizing is by doing these overt attacks, by standing behind Guaido, which is an educated Western man that went to a higher learning institution connected with intelligence agencies, when they try to prop someone up like him, with the long history that the United States has in Latin America, they are doing the opposite. They are only emboldening Maduro. They are only making Maduro more popular, and they're only making his support more fervent and more powerful because of these outward kind of attacks that literally we have to call out here because of honesty and truth. It's so much propaganda surrounding this, and this is again serious ramifications. The Russians, of course, warned about major, severe, grave consequences if the United States does go through with this. But again, it's not going to work. They're only making Maduro more popular, and if anything happens to topple Maduro, it's going to be Maduro himself. It's going to be Maduro tapping out saying, I had enough. He already gained a lot of weight. He's eating empanadas on live television. Meanwhile, countries, having shortages in food in some regions. So I don't see this being a successful coup, maybe a transition of power, which I think is the more likelihood kind of situation unfolding here. But again, Jason, what can we expect when literally MSNBC is talking about being hysterical because Putin had a phone call with Donald Trump and tried to resolve some of these issues, which is absolutely insane, Jason.
Well, I think it's a good thing that they had a phone call. Let's be honest. This is a real situation when Russia, again, is warning us to stay out. Stay out. I don't think we're planning on staying out, but listen.
We haven't been out.
Well, that's my point. That's why I think that this could stretch much, much further. If you see the diplomatic answer that Trump gave, he says, and he, referring to Putin, is not looking at all to get involved in Venezuela other than he would like to see something positive happen for Venezuela. So obviously, listen, China's not going to say, we're in Venezuela for something negative to happen. Russia's not going to say, we're in Venezuela for something negative to happen. That's a political answer. And then he followed up, and I feel the same way. We want to get some humanitarian aid right now. People are starving. They have no food. They have no water. But the truth is that the humanitarian aid that would come in through the military. We've already been accused of trying to smuggle weapons in. And if you look at other covert actions, like in Syria with Operation Timber Sycamore, that's exactly what we did. That's exactly how we started to get ground troops in there. And I think ground troops would be a huge mistake. Can you imagine if this does become another live hot war like in Syria, which indeed is a proxy war with Russia still? We're trying to get more sanctions over there as we speak, Luke. And I'm just not convinced that the U.S. military is going to just give up on this whole thing of getting him out and putting Guaido in. I'm not saying they're going to be successful. I'm just saying that the use of our military is far from over.
Well, we'll see. Again, I'm calling a transition of power with Maduro just tapping out. Not now, maybe in a year. That's my own personal assessment, my own personal opinion on this matter. And again, you made a good point. We don't want Venezuela becoming another Syria, but specifically, we don't want it to become another Iraq, another Afghanistan, another Libya. All important learning lessons to learn here when it comes to direct U.S. military intervention, which, of course, Rachel Maddow and MSNBC seem to completely forget about. And now they are literally mad that John Bolton is not getting his way. We did that video on the backup channel. Check it out. Again, we guys need your support more than ever. Go to wearechange.org/donate. We're getting squeezed here. Already, major Facebook pages have been completely shut down. Our reach is being limited more and more by the day. Our videos are getting out there to less and less people, recommended to less and less people. We really need your support, voting with your dollars and voting with your clicks. You guys are more important than ever. And Jason, unless you have anything else, I'm going to end it here and tell you guys, appreciate you guys very much for being a part of independent media. Stay tuned for more here on newsforchange.com.